Hi, this is Anthony from Learning to Give, and there is something that holds true for all of our students, whether we're going to be teaching them in a traditional classroom or online or in some hybrid model. What holds true regardless of that is that it is good for them to participate in their communities and engage in acts of philanthropy. And I want to show you Learning to Give, which is an outstanding free resource that gets kids engaged in philanthropic acts. In particular, I'm going to show you a lesson called Get to the Root, which is an easy launching point to have your students become involved in their communities. And this can be used for individual students, for small groups, or an entire classroom. And we're going to start where most people start, with Google. Okay, whether you choose the address bar, whether you choose the search, you can type in Learning to Give, and the first item comes up will be learningtogive.org. And if you have never used the site before, create an account. Super easy, and it gives you full access to the entire site. Now, I'm already signed up and I've saved here, and I'm going to log in. And once you log in, just start exploring, and there's a lot of really good lessons related to your classroom, whether you're a middle school teacher, a high school teacher, an English teacher, social studies teacher. But I'm digressing a little bit because what I'm going to show you is a lesson called Get to the Root. So I'm going to go to search, this rectangle here. I know the name of my lesson, Get to the Root, and it will pop right up. Now, Get to the Root is a way that you can have your students really critically think to deconstruct an issue that they care about. They identify the problem and they explore the root causes and effects, and then research who the experts are. It's a great way for them to build community, use creative expression, and come up with different approaches to the next best steps in the service learning process. I'm going to go to the bottom here, and any attachment for the lessons will be here at the bottom in this case. I will click on this, and you can either use the PDF or you can draw it on your board. And community needs, the root of the problem. And what students will do here, it's a divergent thinking activity that will broaden their thinking about the elements of a problem and where the experts are. It's also a great opportunity to use respectful language and generous listening as they work together in small groups, honoring all the contributions and expanding on each other's ideas. So whether this is a printout or whether you draw this on a board or chart paper, you start with this, and students will then decide what the problem is they want to talk about. It could be the neighborhood park is polluted, or there's students who aren't getting enough food. They can come up with this. And then they use this tree here, and you can see it has roots and it has branches. It's a tree analogy, which is simple for every student to understand how this works. And by the roots, they will write several root causes of the problem. For example, if the park is polluted, there may be no trash cans in the park, that sort of thing. And by the branches, they will write the effects. So for example, using this park analogy, kids can't play in the park, or it's unsafe, or people are stepping on glass, or that sort of thing. And they will take the branches and talk about the effects. And I think what's really important about this activity is then they seek out who the expert resources were. So again, going back to this analogy of the park, they will have to research who's in charge of the park. Is there a park and rec service? Is it through the county? Is it through a city? Is it through some private organization? Are there any organizations there to help out? And again, it's easy to talk about a problem, but to take action takes a little bit of a schematic. It takes a plan, and Root of the Problem provides that. And they can start connecting with people who can make the change. And again, this can be altered for an individual student. It can be altered for a small group. It can be altered for a classroom. And ultimately, the goal is that students find what they're passionate about, chart their plan of action, and then they meet with the nonprofits and they investigate the problem and they become an advocate and they get other people involved to help. They volunteer themselves. They incorporate more volunteers. It causes a change, and when they are successful, they feel ownership in their community, they feel ownership of the process, and they feel proud. And it's something you can be proud of as a teacher or a parent, and proud of as a student. So going back to my original point, this truth that it is good for children to participate in their communities and acts of philanthropy. And Root of the Problem is an easy, fantastic way to do that. Now, in addition to Root of the Problem, Learning to Give has many, many lessons that you can check out. So I encourage you to sign up for Learning to Give, to explore, and get your students involved in making their world a better place.